So we had a transition event this week. Grade 5 students came down to learn about middle school course selection and all the things. But my favorite part of that event is always chatting with kids before it starts. So I was in the auditorium and talking with a student. And after she asked who I was and I told her, she said, "Oh, so you're the guy who's going to tell us how to get into Ivies." And I said, "Oh," I said, "well, that's interesting." And she said, "That's all my parents talk about, me getting into an Ivy." And I said, actually what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to have a really successful middle school, which will prepare you for high school, which will then prepare you for college. But there's nothing you can do right now as a 5th grader to get into an Ivy. So we're not going to talk about that, but we are going to talk about your school and next year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then another student I talked to, she said, "I just want to learn about the EAAs. I just want to learn about after-school activities and what they are and what I can do." And it's great. We want to have we have a great co-curricular program. And we're going to talk about it. And then her friend piped up and said, "Yeah, because her parents put her in 8 EAAs right now," in this sort of like conspiratorial tone. "And she's busy all the time." And I think she kind of embarrassed her friend a little bit. But I said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll talk about what you might want to do." And I'm sharing those 2 stories today because they stuck with me as I had a bunch of other conversations that weren't as significant, but those 2 stuck with me because both of them show parent behaviors that come from a place of deep care. We want our kids to be really successful and to go to a great school and do work that they find engaging. And that's the right desire. But having an outcome that you are regularly talking to your child about that is beyond their control isn't helpful. And so what's a more helpful way to frame that desire for your child to go to a great school and be successful and ultimately hopefully be happy is around the behaviors that are going to get them there. Because that's something that your child can control in the moment. No 5th grader can control if they get into an Ivy. But a 5th grader can control if they're engaging in their work, keeping track of their homework, and doing all of the things, the behaviors that are going to prepare them to be successful in college. Likewise, when we schedule our kids into a whole bunch of different things, it comes from this desire to have them be well-rounded and engaged, probably a little bit of like not waste their time. But what I know in middle school and through high school is that if our kids don't have downtime, and if our kids aren't being given choice in what they're doing, they can't engage in the way that they might want to, or they won't engage. If they feel coerced and they feel controlled and they feel overscheduled, they aren't going to engage in the same way as if they're doing, as they will if they're doing something that they really love. And so I wanted to share those 2 stories today because they stuck with me because they are the right things that we as parents want for our kids. But we've got to be really careful about the messages we're sending our kids because as they move through middle school and as they move into high school, you're going to have less and less influence over them. And so it really is important what you say and how you frame things.